Hi folks, this is going to be a bit of a response video to Open Source CNC. A couple days ago, that channel uploaded a video that talks about updates in the FreeCAD CAM software. One of the features that was talked about is rest machining, and I think in that video the concept of rest machining isn't quite what was presented. One of the examples was a pocket similar to this that has two levels, and that other person tried to use rest machining after clearing the upper pocket. They tried to use rest machining to make a new pocketing path at a lower level, and the toolpath cut air through the first pocket. In other CAM software, there's a difference between stock aware machining and rest machining. In order to cut an upper pocket first and then a lower pocket, that would be stock aware machining, where the CAM software is keeping track of what material has already been removed and then sets the starting levels based on this area already being clear, so that it can start the pocketing operation for the lower pocket close to this surface. Rest machining is more for doing roughing with a big cutter and then coming back into tight corners with a smaller cutter to cut out more of that material. So in this video, we're going to look at 3 different pockets with 2 cutter sizes and see how rest machining works. On this pocket here, this channel is 8 millimeters wide and 9 millimeters wide, and we're going to go through that with a 12.7 millimeter half-inch end mill and a 6 millimeter bullnose cutter, and we'll see how the path changes in here, as well as these other pockets with the corners. We'll see how we can rough most of the material with the big cutter, and then what happens when we use rest machining to come back in to clear out the corners. We'll start on the CAM workbench with this test piece. Create a new job. And for tools, we'll load up a couple tools that I already have. We've got the 6 millimeter ball nose, 6 millimeter bull nose. And then we need a bigger tool. Names are a little weird, but we've got a half-inch end mill, 12.7 millimeter, and a 6 millimeter ball nose. Just type in some random speeds here. I'll just leave the rest alone because we're just demoing the one feature. Okay, let's start with the big square in the middle here. We'll put on a tool path with for the pocket with the big end mill. We're going to go into the offset mode like the other video, step over to something reasonable, and we'll apply that. So now the end mill is going to come in and make that cut. Then we'll go back and do the exact same thing, same feature, back to the pocket tool, but this time we'll use the 6 millimeter ball nose, same offset, same step over, except this, forgot to turn on rest machining. Use rest machining. And now, zoom right in here. That second operation is only going to go back in and cut the corners out. So this is rest machining. It acknowledges that it had already cut with a bigger end mill and left some area in the corners. And then this one's going to come back in and take some more material out of the corners. Do the same thing again with this shape over here. pocket, offset the big cutter, apply the pattern. So over here, it doesn't come down this section. Now we'll run the same pattern again, except this time we'll use the small end mill. Using rest machining. And then this time, we turn off that. So this is a little bit weird that it's doing stuff in the middle. So I think open source CNC is correct that this tool needs a little bit more work, but we see that by using rest machining, there's a lot of area that is not cut, and it goes down into the other passages. Run this as a simulation real quick. So it cuts the large portion, and then we come back in and we just do the corners. For the other pocket, that's interesting. That rest machining is actually correct because of the way the large cutter parameters were. There is more material to clean out in the corners. But it certainly looks like there's still some room to optimize the corners. You can see in here, because it's a bullnose end mill with a corner radius, you can see all these stepped features here in the simulation. That's where it came back in to cut out the corners with the rest machining. And there you have it. That's what a lot of CAM software calls rest machining, is for this type of scenario where you can rough with a big cutter and then come back in with a small cutter to only remove the material that the big cutter missed. It's not so much for doing different depths. That's more of a stock aware type feature.